undifferentiated absolute truth, which is both within me, within all of you, and it's all one. That's a difficult path. So we're very fortunate because we're being taught, we're learning and practicing a really simple path, which brings the same result. I remember the Mondachini, my god sister, told me how when she first joined the temple, within a few days, she was working in the kitchen, helping wash the pots or whatever, cut up the veg, and she was invited into Prabhupada's room, and she said to him, I want to start my spiritual life, meaning, you know, I want you to initiate me before you leave. So I'd like to start my spiritual life. And she said, Prabhupada laughed, and he said, you've already started your spiritual life because you're serving Krishna. So we don't have to worry, actually. As soon as we become engaged as Krishna's servant, we're already part of Krishna's spiritual world. You know, that has already happened. It's already been, the promise is already there. Maybe it just takes some time. You know, it's a bit like joining the, you know, if you join the first year of your studies, then obviously eventually you will graduate and get your degree. So there are many kinds of transcendentalists, but all of them, they can become attracted to Krishna if they hear Krishna's holy name, they taste Krishna prasadam, it may be just to see the devotees of Krishna, and they can become attracted. What's today's verse? Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any questions or points?
Just on this last point that we always emphasize the Maha Mantra, but I heard a story the other day. We went to a home program, and there was a Mataji, a devotee who is from Sikh background, and she's an expert on talking about the parallels between Krishna consciousness and Sikhism. And she was explaining how basically that the majority of Sikhs have a certain understanding of spirituality, but it's a covered understanding. And she explained all of her relatives. Well, after she had become a devotee, he was the only one who was actually pleased about the fact that now she was chanting Hare Krishna and became a Vaishnava. And this relative had always been a very devout Sikh and very humble, very simple, and always reading their shastras and listening. And he always said he was very attached to listening to their, the Sikhs' shastras and going to the temple every morning and reading. And then she only met him a few times. He was an elderly man after she became a devotee, and she tried to preach to him. And he became very attracted. And it so happened that soon after that he fell very sick and he was about to die. And then he also met this Mataji's spiritual master, who said to her, she couldn't be there when Esther was dying. He said to her, just chant Hare Krishna to her. And on his deathbed, he couldn't even communicate, but when the phone was put to his head, and he could hear her chant the Maha Mantra, he chanted Hare Krishna.
So you're saying that...
Yeah. But previously he'd heard lots of, because this Mataji was also explaining that the Sikh Shastras, their scriptures are full of names of Krishna. He said that Krishna is a person. So he had been hearing many, many different names of Krishna. And he was just spontaneously attracted and he chanted. He wasn't even able to speak at that point. But then when she spoke to him on the phone and she was chanting to him, he started chanting Hare Krishna. So that purified his mind, just very humble, attractive.
So you're telling the story of a Sikh who had another Sikh friend who became a devotee and even chanted Hare Krishna on his deathbed. This is not a surprise because Guru Nanak actually was, by all accounts, he was a devotee. He included many passages from the Vedic literatures, in particular from the Gita, in the what's called the what they call it, the Guru Granth Sahib, and he especially placed a great emphasis on chanting the holy names of God, which is why pretty much any Gurudwara, of course they have different traditions in the Sikh faith, just like in all others, but you go into pretty much any Gurudwara, and the main activity is chanting. They chant so beautifully with their. Generally, they like to have harmonium and tambura and tablas, I think. Tablas, yeah. And they will sing for hours and hours. They have wonderful kirtanias. It's true that if you question deeply a learned Sikh, you will probably find that there's quite a strong impersonal tendency. But the ordinary average Sikh, I don't think that they're raging impersonalists, to be honest. I think they just believe in God and in chanting God's names, yes.
Thank you very much. I remember the last example you've given about this lady that was already engaged in devotional service.
Yeah.
And so when I remember, for me it's familiar to see that sometimes we are engaged, but we are not with such deep heart engaged. And following this example you've given, this Mataji, she probably was feeling that she was not engaged. Probably was feeling that was thinking on something else. She wanted to feel more deeply connected. But Srila Prabhupada he told that you already are engaged, you're already doing service. So we know that just following Guru's instruction or helping a devotee, one is already engaged in devotional service and is already in the perfectional platform. But my question is that if we don't identify with what we are doing, although we are receiving causeless mercy and we are receiving Agyata Sukriti, we are purifying. But it comes hard in our mind because we don't know exactly if we are doing the wrong thing or not.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is the easiest way to in other hands, if we are asked to give everything to Krishna, it not seems so easy. If we just help something, then also we don't feel it's so easy to maintain spiritual life. And so my question is, what is the easiest way to maintain through all our life?
Your question is, what is the easiest way to maintain Krishna consciousness? And you're saying that very often, we might be serving Krishna and not really being very conscious of what we're doing, and just maybe mechanically, you might be working. And well, you're worrying, but does that matter if I'm serving Krishna without being conscious? Of course, I should be aspiring to be completely conscious of Krishna at all moments. But the reality is that we're beginners on this path. We're neophytes. I'm speaking for myself, and so we may not be thinking of Krishna at every moment. But if I make the decision to give my time, all of my time or some of my time and my energy to the service of Krishna, then the more I give that time to Krishna, the more I will become attached to Krishna. Especially in youth, when so many possibilities are there, so many we're being invited from all sides to try and enjoy the material world, and we're also being encouraged to get a career, find a partner, have a family, and participate in material life. But if in the face of all that, I decide, no, this is not really what I want,